tell me about Corrective Measures?
Well, so far, gig of a lifetime. I got to work with Sean Patrick O'Reilly, who I've met because I played his son's dad in a couple of different things over the course of 7 years. And that relationship, when this role came around, I guess I popped into his mind as a potential. Oh, that's not. I don't know. I'm pressing buttons here. How do we? I've lost you. Let me just. There we go.
Perfect. I'm back. There we go. So you were telling me it's the role of a lifetime.
Yes. So yeah, playing Sean Patrick O'Reilly's son Kiefer's dad, roommate's dog's best friend, dad in a couple of roles, put me in their head for a potential, moving forward. And this came up, and they're like, "Hey, we kind of think," and my answer was yes before they even finished the sentence, of course. And I get to play something that's a bit of a departure from my usual. Like you get to play kind of the nice guy, the husband, the hallmark, hope and love. This is a complete departure towards badass vigilante killing machine.
Right.
Little different.
The character seeks in, yeah, it's almost like Robin Hood in a weird way, your character. He seeks revenge, but for the greater good. Is that correct?
That sounds like a brilliant description. Yeah. Vigilante with a purpose. Yeah, ex-military guy who feels justified in removing the world, ridding the world of criminals in general, due to a tragedy that has spurred him onto this crusade.
And I think everyone's really fascinated because, as you said, I mean, you're Mr. Hallmark and everyone recognizes you from that. Was it difficult to try and channel a completely different character, or was it more exciting and thrilling more than anything?
Yeah, the Disney Descendants thing too. It's kind of kids would be like, "Hey, ooh, nope, that's not him." I don't know how to say this without sounding, but I've always felt like I've had some of that darker world to play with in me, and it was just nice to explore it. So it was to answer your question, is far more of an excitement to be able to indulge fully in that, again, badass, I guess, side of things.
Right.
Because being a Hallmark guy, I hope, and my wife may disagree, but I'd like to think I'm a pretty nice guy who I'm all about hope and love and sharing and being caring and all that stuff. So this was only in film can you go to that dark place where that isn't my norm to explore and experience kind of all the things that it comes with. So I was very excited, very excited.
And it almost feels like, because I was, doing a bit of research on you, you've had almost 3 lives within the one life. I mean, you started off volleyball, and then you went to Australia, and then you've almost had like 10 lives in this one life. And it almost feels like this part is also a whole new world for you. And it does feel like a new life for you, and the roles that will probably open up to you from doing this film.
Well, thank you, Dan. Yeah, I hope this is a stepping stone. And I've been following my heart. My brother and my sister, and I'll start with my parents. They've always been so supportive of, follow your heart, chase your dreams. There's no set precedent for where you have to be in life at any given time, which is really wonderful. And so I stumbled around and found my way into, I worked my guts out to become a pro athlete, and I enjoyed that. And then retired from that, joined my brother in Australia, and we created this dream of doing film, and he went entrepreneur and I went straight to the film world. And yeah, I've been doing it for a long time, but I appreciate you saying that this does feel like a great opportunity and a potential stepping stone for a shift in things. And I'm looking forward to it. I want to be optimistic. The world's been tough for the last couple of years, so it's nice to have something with this kind of optimism around it for me.
Yes, and I think it's also even makes you more inspiring, because so many people, whether they're a pro athlete or they're at the top of their field, when that goes away, so many men and women struggle with, who am I, once that thing's taken away, and where else can I thrive? And a lot of people just kind of end up living in the past and just living for what used to be, instead of creating a new reality. And you're the perfect example that you can create a whole new life for yourself, and you can rise to the top of a completely different field.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I still live the glory days from the other life, but I'm happy to be, pursuing this one. And I don't know if this is the time or place, but I've always struggled a bit with mental health and depression. And it's either been a driving force as it's a burden I've been running away from, or a driving force in that I'm always trying to beat it, I guess, for lack of a better term. And that has been an external. So some of these externals weren't always the right reasons to go pushing and driving ahead, but I'm grateful for the journey I've been on. I'm grateful for the place that I'm at now. And yeah, it's never too late to anything, I think, is what you were getting at, Dan. And I couldn't agree more. I want to, life is hard enough if you, I mean, there's so many different, I have 2 kids. I have an incredible supportive, very supportive wife. And within the context of that family dynamic, I have been supported to pursue a crazy, for lack of a better term, crazy dream. And I've been fortunate. I've been very, I mean, I work really hard, but I'm also, you have to be lucky. You have to work hard to be lucky, I guess, is what they say.
Right. And I think, you know, you sharing that, I know I'm like, feel like I'm building you up here, but makes you even more inspiring, because I think a lot of people think when they see you do all the things that you do, you know, who are struggling with their mental health, they think, oh, well, I could never do that because I struggle to get out of bed, or I'm too anxious to put myself out there in that way. So that's not possible for my life, even though it's possible for his life because I struggle. But I think when people hear that you too struggle, it kind of makes them think that maybe they could do it too if you've managed to do it as well.
I thank you. I truly hope so. And if there is anything that I can throw into this conversation with that is, I was on my own and alone and hiding it for a very long time. And the best thing, if anybody's listening and if they can find the strength to, just tell someone, just start talking about it to someone. And I swear the shift will happen once you find that person that you can that cares, that you can trust, or that you love enough to just start sharing that space that you're in. The shift should start, and then hopefully the clouds clear and the gray goes away. It did for me, and it's not all the same for everybody. I know it's a very individual journey, but if you allowing me to say something right here helps one person, then I'm hopeful and very grateful if it does, you know?
Yeah, because it goes to show you can be at the, you know, depths of despair, and then, you know, even just a few years later, you can be working with Bruce Willis. I mean, that's pretty insane. How is that?
A bucket list thing I never knew I could have on my bucket list. Like, I grew up with him. He's the icon and legend that he is, but I grew up with him being the definition of cool. Like, moonlighting, the rogue, charming, swashbuckling smartass that he portrays with everything about him was cool. And as a young kid who's very impressionable, I'm like, I want to be like that guy. Never did I think I would be able to, hey, I'm going to work with that guy. So when that came about, I did my happy dance, and probably embarrassed my kids, but I'm grateful beyond comprehension to be able to have said that. Now that he's retired, it's even more of an honor to be able to say that I've shared screen and spent time and met Bruce Willis and Michael Rooker, who's still going strong. But those 2 guys, and Tom Cavanaugh and Brendan and Haley and Daniel and all that, everybody in that film. But Bruce, obviously, Bruce is the king. He is a legend for a reason. He has a presence like you wouldn't believe, Dan. It's
oh, wow,
indistinguishable. The particles in the air charge when he comes in. There's an it factor that does exist, and it was neat to experience.
Cool. And what would you say, working with someone like that, what was the biggest thing that you learned from him, from your time together?
Now, I think he earned it over, you know, doing it for about a minute. Being present in a calm space. You don't have to be anything. I'm trying to adopt this, and I have for a long time, but it reinstated to me that you don't have to be any more. If you do your homework, you don't have to be any more than who you are at that current moment. If you've done your homework, you'll be present. The character will be alive. You've read the script. You've done the analysis. Don't stress. He is so at ease and so calm and so comfortable in front of a camera. And again, I know he's been doing it for a minute, but it's nice to see, because that just breeds magic.
Right.
So just sit in there and breathe and be present obviously do your work, but be present it's a beautiful thing.
Wow. And going back to the film specifically, what is it that you hope that people get from it when they do come to watch it?
I hope they have a couple chuckles and just go on a great ride. And at the end of it, they're like, that was pretty rad. You know, like there's superpowers, there's great fight choreography. There's some, wonderful banter and one-liners, and Bruce Willis and Michael Rooker. You really can't go wrong. So yeah, there's some blood and gore. So, just be ahead of time, be aware. but it's just a fun ride. I just really hope people go in and can sit down and check out from the world around them for an hour or two and enjoy the ride.
I think one of the most interesting things that I keep hearing when people talk about your series or film is that it's really every man's journey into darkness. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because that's coming up a lot when people watch the film, talking about everyone's relationship with darkness in the film.
Yeah, well, if you end up in a highly, like a maximum security penitentiary, you've obviously dabbled in the darkness, and it is interesting to see how everybody ends up there. So I choose to be there. I'm a vigilante anti-hero on a mission, a crusade for revenge. So it's interesting to follow, and for me it was interesting to play with that and follow that story. And then Diego Diaz was put in there wrongly. He shouldn't be there. He's very much misplaced. Like he's so to fish out of water, literally the fish, the new kid in the prison out of water. And then Tom Cavanaugh's character, the conductor, he had a power thing that when we all got our powers, he was the king of the pile, and then it was stolen away from him. So he's there because of, to boil it down, he's there for ego. And then Bruce Willis is because he is the absolute all powerful that could change the face of the earth. He had to be there. He didn't get a choice. So yeah, you're right. It's neat to see everybody's journey into darkness, and darkness being culminating in a trip to prison. So it's how we got there, why we're there, and how we want to get out.
Cool. And sorry to really ask you the tough questions, but what do you think the overall message is of the film?
You are.
I know, I'm really getting in there with you, but I was like, what do you think the message is? It's obviously open to interpretation.
I'll be back in 5 minutes. No. The message. If you believe in something enough, then you're justified in your actions to achieve it.
Cool. So if you believe in something enough, then you're justified in your actions to achieve it.
Yeah. So I know that for Payback, he feels and believes very strongly that what he's doing is justified. And so the actions he takes to achieve that goal are acceptable, even if maybe some sense of honorable. And I think that would apply to everybody. It
does. Because most people, even when they do bad things, they do it because they believe it's justified. Whether it's not, it might be a different story, but we do things because we justified it in our minds that it's okay.
Yeah, you can rationalize things. Yeah, absolutely. You can rationalize just about anything. And if there's extenuating circumstances putting a bunch of pressure on you, and you can twist yourself into some sort of rationale to do some horrible thing, then yeah, you feel justified.
That's so
not saying that's a good thing, everybody. Yeah.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
And just before we do go, what advice do you have for people that are hoping to get into acting and hoping to get to where you are in your career?
Well, I think it's quite the industry of no. So I think to be able to just learn to love the journey, and forever, you have to be able to decide to sponge learning from the very get-go, because you never stop learning. And a lot of that learning comes from face planting, whether it be in a casting room or in a classroom or even on set at times. The beauty of on set is you'll have directors and people to help you get through. But on your own, when you're going through class and stuff, just get up one more time, then you're knocked down, because it's a really tough industry. If you can't find that strength to get up one more time, it will spit you out.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you so much, Dan. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you. And I love your name. Just want to.
I know. I think it's the best name there is. I mean, Danny's the man. It's a reason it rhymes with man. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. So.
Do you have Daniel as well? And only if you're in trouble?
Only if I'm in trouble. And actually, the only ones that call me Daniel, I'll be interested to see what you say about this, but is my immediate family. So there's probably about 8 people that call me Daniel, and it's like really in a circle. But to the rest of the world, I'm Dan. What about you?
You couldn't have nailed it more. My immediate family, that Daniel, but if I hear Daniel, I know something's not right. I've done wrong, or somebody's upset.
I know. Even just hearing that my back of my neck gets chills. I'm like, Daniel, like, oh no, I must have done something wrong.
Yeah, totally. Everything. Absolutely. And then Danny was Sports World. I couldn't be anything but Danny. For some reason, every sports team's like, hey, Danny. And then Dan, when I wanted to grow out of Danny, I was like, can I be Dan? I'd like to be Dan. And I kind of introduced myself as Dan. And so far it's stuck. But they all, as long as people are talking with you.
Exactly. That's all that matters.
Call me what you want.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. And I really appreciate this time with you. And I'm excited for everyone to watch the film.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here.
Thanks, Dan. Bye.
Bye.